So welcome all. We have a very good couple here at Nagpur at our studio. We welcome Sister Wangmo Dixie and Richard Dixie sir to our office or studio. We are very pleased, and today we have a very good program of Tripatak chanting here at Deekshabhoomi, and almost 200 monks was there. Some monks from Thailand, Malaysia, Thailand, then Laos and other parts of different countries, and from different parts of India, and also from Nagpur. So, welcome, sister. Welcome,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank
So, what
you.
is your experience today? How you feel that so many monks and almost 5,000 people are gathered today at Deekshabhoomi? How you feel after watching this entire scenario and the beautiful Tripitaka chanting here at Deekshabhoomi?
It was incredible. This is not our first time.
Yes.
We've been here before, but to see again after COVID, after a gap of a few years, to reconnect with the Indian Sangha and to bring the Mahasangha from Thailand,
Yes.
from Laos, from Myanmar, and from the Mahabodhi Society of Bangalore,
Yes.
alongside with all these other Indian bhikkhus and nuns, was just incredible.
Yes, incredible.
To hear the sound of the Buddha Vachana
Yes.
coming back to Deekshabhoomi.
Yes.
And Deekshabhoomi is such a holy place. You're feeling when you enter in, there's
Yes.
something very sacred.
So much vibration.
So much vibration. And of course, we are honoring
Yes.
Dr. Sahib Ambedkar and his great achievements for equality and for a sense of really the Buddha's teachings, which we can hear today in the Tipitaka chanting. So it was just a lovely, fantastic program. And to see so many lay people from all over Maharashtra was, the heart feels very full.
Yes,
very full
heart
of
felt very
Dhamma.
full.
Yeah.
Yeah, Richard sir, you also come first time to Nagpur, I think, and Deekshabhoomi. And this is the place where Dr. Ambedkar converted to Buddhism along with 6 lakhs people in 1956. After that, there's so many conversions in India, and as of now, crores of people declare themselves as Buddhists. How you feel after entering Deekshabhoomi and watching all this Tripitaka chanting program?
It was wonderful. It was very, very inspiring. It really was. It is my first visit here.
Yeah.
But the people are so friendly, and the whole atmosphere was excitement. At the same time, there was reverence, and the monks were chanting beautifully. It was tremendous. It really was.
Yeah.
And you know, this is the Arya Desh. This wonderful country is the Arya Desh, and it's so wonderful to see the Dhamma here and to hear the sound of the Dhamma here. So it's very inspiring.
Yeah, it's very inspiring. Sisters, I want to ask one question. You have started Tripitaka chanting, and you come from a family who's having so much Buddhist values and tradition. So, what is the inspiration that you started this Tripitaka chanting program, and when you have started, and what is the aim of that Tripitaka chanting?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking. Actually, I am just an instrument in a way, because my father, who is a Tibetan Lama, he asked a way to find a way to support the Theravada Sangha,
Right.
especially here in India, because he feels that the Dhamma is so close to disappearing.
Yes.
Because we are in Kali Yoga. And so there are many conditions that do not support the Buddha Vachana. And if we can begin to support the foundation of bringing together the Theravada Sangha and remembering the words of the Buddha, this will be able to create the longevity of the Buddha Sasana. So in the early years, it started in 2006 for the 2550th Buddha Jayanti,
Right.
kind of a historical moment. And then we gathered the local monks, the abbots from the local viharas in Bodh Gaya, and we asked them, is this the right time for this kind of program to start? Because I was coming from America
Right.
as a messenger from my father, and all the monks said, sadhu, 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 this is the right time.
Right.
So from then on, from 2006 to now, almost 17 years, we are reciting the words of the Buddha in Pali, the Tipitaka, every year about 1,000 pages.
Right.
And
Great.
so over time, we have gathered 11 countries. And so each country takes 100 pages each
Okay.
day for 10 days. And now we finished the entire Sutta Pitaka this year. It
Yeah,
took us
Sutta Pitaka.
17 years to get to this place.
Okay.
And now we have another maybe 25 years to complete the 84,000 teachings.
Oh, great.
So this in our lifetime, if we can make that intention to recite with our own, to recite the words under the Bodhi tree with the Mahasangha, this will be our lifetime achievement. And we're hoping India we can dedicate the merit to India. We can dedicate for the longevity of the Buddha Sasana, because the Dharma spread from here, from this noble land of India, and it spread all over Southeast Asia, eventually even to America, to North America, where I'm from in California. So I get to hear about the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha because of the way that the Buddha's teachings traveled. So I pay great debt and gratitude to the people of India to protect these teachings. You have this land, this sacred land.
Right.
There's no copycat here.
Yeah, no copycat. This is the original.
This is the original place.
Yes.
This is the original place. And Nagapur, I've heard, is the Naga people.
Yes,
Naga peoples who were the very great devotees of the Buddha.
Yeah.
So Nagpur has some importance in the Buddha Sasana.
Yes.
So that's why we are here today.
Great.
Thank you.
So, sir, I want to ask one question. You are a really very beautiful couple and supporting each other, and you're a very ideal persons. Both are very ideals for every sections of our society. How you support each other for this Buddha Shasana?
Wow.
Well, we're both Buddha dasas. That's to say, we're devoted to the Dhamma. She's a bone Buddhist.
Yeah,
she was born a Buddhist.
Ah.
I'm a blood Buddhist. I discovered the Dhamma when I was 20 at the University of Oxford.
Okay.
And I'm a scientist by training.
Great.
And I was doing my degree in biochemistry. And I used to like debating with religious people because I thought religions were stupid. And then I found Buddhism, and I realized Buddhism isn't stupid at all. In fact, Buddhism is really something. And I came to India first in 1971 when I was 20 to understand more about the Dhamma here. And ever since then, I've been a Buddhist. And I think Buddhism is utterly extraordinary. I mean, utterly. You know, there are more Buddhist commentaries than there are the rest of the world's religions combined.
Yeah.
It is much the biggest religion in the world.
Yes.
It's third biggest by number.
Yes.
And in terms of its actual depth, it's bigger than all the other religions combined. And it is a remarkable human achievement. And so it's very inspiring to come back to India, back to where it began. Now, as a couple, we both work for the Dhamma. I used to be a scientist, and I ran a pharmaceutical company. But when I retired, we dedicated ourselves to Buddhist work. And it's very, very
really
rewarding.
wonderful.
And that's how really we work together as a couple. We're, as I say, Buddha dasas. Dasa being a slave to the Buddha.
We're the servants.
Servants to the Buddha.
We feel very.
This is the practical approach.
And I'm a servant to her.
You both are serving to each other.
Not really. I'm a servant to her.
No. He also, we're both, equally.
Equally,
yes.
Equality
Because,
is too much important in Buddhism.
He, I have to say, because he's very humble, he's a great teacher.
Yes,
he's a great
humble.
teacher.
I saw him.
And he teaches at Dharma College. We run an institution
Dharma College.
In America, in California. And really, our project there is to bring these teachings to the West in a secular way. So here is very religious and very traditional. But in the West, that may not be the door to walk through.
Yes.
So Richard, with his science background and his love for understanding the mind and self, he's actually one of the best teachers I've ever heard. If you talk to him about mind and understanding about how our consciousness works, he will blow your mind away. He will blow your mind away. So he's deep into the Dhamma on an intellectual way. I'm not a scholar. I feel like I'm just a worker, and we work together to support each other. And that's how we got married. We got married with that intention that we are supporting each other. Yeah.
So you are running Dharma College, and what is the concept of Dharma College? And just I want to ask another question. What is the principles of Buddhism that you want to propagate throughout the Indians and throughout the world?
Well, I think for us, it's first a historical a returning of the Dharma to the land where it all started. So for people to wake up to their own heritage,
Right.
that they understand that this is their lineage. The Shakyamuni is their lineage, and that the teachings came from here.
Yeah.
So when we travel in our program, we get to see and meet many local people and can imagine what it was like in the time of the Buddha, especially when we go with the Sangha, and we can imagine what was it like in the life of the Buddha with the precious monks. But not much has happened in terms of revival. And so, of course, we can see great beings in India's history of great revival. But I think that in this modern time, the Dharma is the most precious asset of India. Because when we look at the current conditions in our world, where everything is shaking, there's so much uncertainty, there's people suffering great dukkha, that actually Buddhism and Dharma has something to offer that essentially brings peace into our heart. And so that is what India needs to show up with. They need to become the examples to the world, and everyone will turn to India to see that this is something that we can change globally. We can change globally. Man to woman, woman to everyone, every fraternity, brotherhood, sisterhood. We can create that movement. Because that's essentially the teachings of the Buddha: great compassion and understanding of mind and self.
India is a Dhamma nation.
Yes, Dhamma. Sir, you are scientist, and you have to do research at every time. So, what is the basic research for human being, of a human rights that Buddha had said?
Well, it's remarkable. 2,500 years ago, really before there were religions, there was just Vedic sacrifice. That's all there was. The Buddha said all compounded things are impermanent.
Yes, impermanent.
That is true then. It's true today.
Yes.
It's absolutely the case.
Yes.
And the more we learn scientifically, the more that is true. Now, Buddhism is unique in that what the Buddha taught doesn't need modification. You don't have to say, well, he didn't really mean that, he meant this. It's exactly what he said. He saw then, and it's true now. That is truly something amazing. And we live in a state, I like to call it contemporary culture. It used to be called Western culture, but actually the internet has made it contemporary. Everybody is suffering from the same sense of alienation, the same sense of meaninglessness. The world is in a very dangerous state. And the Dhamma directly addresses this. And although our college in America is addressing American culture and bringing the Dhamma in contemporary language, we're reimagining the Dhamma in contemporary language. When I sit in front of young Indian people, I really see very little difference between them and young American people or young European people. They have the same problems and the same interests. And the Dhamma can really address these interests. So the difference is this though. India has the blessings in the land. It's a bone Buddhist land, not a blood Buddhist land. And so when you come to India and you go to these great holy places, you can really feel it. It's quite remarkable.
Can feel it.
And that to me is very inspiring. So the teachings are contemporary, but the blessings are ancient. And this is the Arya Desha. And so it's incredibly inspiring to come back here. Always, every time I come, I think it's just wonderful. And obviously to come here to Nagpur and see such a vibrant community.
Very vibrant.
Very exciting.
Very exciting. So, ma'am, you are traveling since last 70 years to India, and you are having Tripitak chanting at so many places where the Buddha goes. So, I just want to ask one thing. What is you find a contribution of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar for the Buddhism, as you are since last 17 years are coming to India and meeting so many people, and there are so many statues of Dr. Ambedkar here in India. So what is your observation?
Well, my observation has become more recently, because in the early years, it was really the international community meeting the monks from the Southeast Asian countries and their devotees. So it's really taken me almost 17 years to come to Nagpur in a way, and to open my eyes to really the land of India. And what I see is that the people are so devoted. You know, when the monks come and visit a temple or even a house, flowers are laid
Yeah.
out. You know, they wash the feet. There's such a culture here, a
Yes.
Buddhist culture that you can't fake.
Yes.
You know, it's rooted in the people's lives. And so I feel like now I'm beginning my journey of understanding India and Buddhism,
Great.
because it's taken me a long time,
Yes.
a journey. And of course, coming from the West, we have our perspectives of what the Dharma is, but it only takes you walking
Yeah.
to these places, to actually visiting the sites, to understand the people, their culture,
Yeah.
and how the Dharma is living with them.
Yes.
And that is very profound. And I can see that here in Nagpur, in Maharashtra, that it's very alive, it's very active, and there's a very strong sense of devotion to the
Yes.
Dharma.
Great.
Yeah.
So now you have started Buddha Purnima in, I think, White House too. And this is the second year?
Well, this will be the third
This
year.
is the third year.
Yeah, yeah.
So how you started?
I was very surprised how this happened because, you know, in America, there is a separation of
Yeah.
church and state,
Yes.
and that's a very clear boundary. But I came to find out that for religious holidays within the White House, there's some acknowledgement,
Yeah.
whether it's Christmas or for Jewish holidays
Yes.
or for Muslim holidays. But for some reason, Buddhists did not have a lighting of the lamp for Vesak. So it started with just really an understanding like, oh my goodness, I'm American, you know, I'm Buddhist. I
Yes.
want to see a lamp inside the White House just to remember the Buddha's Vesaka day. And it took a letter, and we first wrote it to President Obama. He wrote back a letter of acknowledgement. And really it was through President Biden and with our Vice President Kamala Harris
Yes.
that they acknowledged, especially with the second gentleman. And so now it carries forward, and
Carries
we're
forward.
in our third year. So
Okay.
on behalf of Buddhists in America,
It's a great
this is a
opportunity.
great
Yes.
lighting symbolic
Yeah, it
of
is. Okay.
the Buddhist teachings. Yeah.
So just I want to ask the last question to both of you. How you feel that in day-to-day life, Buddhism is too important, and everyone, if follows that Buddhism, they can cherish themselves, or they can have the light, be the own light of themselves.
Well, you know, Buddhism, many religions talk about decency and goodness. They do as aspirations. And so does Buddhism, of course. The difference is Buddhism explains where our problems are coming from.
Yes.
In a way that I think is quite unique and powerful.
Yes.
So in some respects, you could say that Buddhism is a science of the mind.
Yeah, sense of the mind.
Although I'm not sure I'm totally comfortable with the word science, but nonetheless, it deals with how we make problems for ourselves through our own behavior. And it's profound. And so once you start engaging with it, you feel a great sense of gratitude that this ancient teaching is still working. It's still saying the
Yes.
same message. And when you think that what the Buddha addressed 2,500 years ago is still happening now,
Yes, still happening now.
but the wars were being fought then with bronze swords, and now we have nuclear weapons. You have to be worried for humanity. This is why it's so urgent
Right.
that Buddhist teachings spread as far as they can. And so our own view is that this is a human importance. It's something we must do. We must make people aware of how they make problems for themselves, how problems propagate,
Right.
because through that understanding, great goodness can come.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, there are 3 million Buddhists in America as well. And Buddhism is growing very, very rapidly
Very
among young
rapidly.
people.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like to say
Even in
that
Europe too.
there are Buddhas everywhere. If you go to European and American countries, you see Buddha statues all over the place. Buddha represents, I think, a real beacon
Yes.
of decency and spiritual integrity in a world full of advertising and other stuff. So Buddha stands out as something important. And so it's very inspiring to work as a Buddhist worker. It really is. It's wonderful. And, you know, the biggest hit, though, is coming to India and feeling this ancient country. It's
Yes.
just wonderful.
And the blessings.
And then,
Yes.
and as one was said, when you meet Buddhist Indian people, it's very, very moving.
Yeah.
Yes.
because that's been the hidden thing.
Huh.
Buddhism is in every other country, Thailand and Burma.
Yeah.
Previously, our DNA was also
Yeah.
Buddhist.
But of
Yeah.
course, there are many
Before-
Buddhists in India, and
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
meet Indian Buddhists, it's so moving.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
so
just
moving.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
so you,
Yeah.
you feel, wow, this is the
Yeah.
authentic
Yeah.
tradition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very moving to see
Yeah.
that. So today's so beautiful the way
Yeah.
people
Thank you.
behave.
Thank you.
Really
Yeah.
lovely. And so that to me is something inspiring because, as it's interesting with a Western ear,
Huh.
I hear Indian chanting of the Dhamma better
Better.
than I
Yeah.
hear Thai or Burmese or Tibetan or Chinese or Japanese or Korean. All these other countries all have their Dhamma.
Yeah.
But the Indian Dhamma, to
Mhm.
me, wow, this feels right. This
Mhm.
is the right Dhamma. Because it
Mhm.
is. It's the home of the Dhamma.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sister.
I know it's like a long journey that we've come, traveling all
Yes.
over and to come back to this holy land of India and to hear the voice of the Buddha coming back through the monks and the nuns and just the devotion of the people from India is really like a dream come true. And I hope one day that India will come up as the chief organizer for
Yeah,
Tipitaka.
surely will come
And
up.
we
with
want to
organizer.
see you in front.
Yes,
We will
surely.
be behind you and we will be saying
Definitely,
sadhu, sadhu,
I think
sadhu
that day will
for
come
all
very
that,
soon. Yes.
for that moment. And, I have friends who are, very convinced, even discussion about the seventh Buddhist Council.
Yeah,
I
this is also going
I
on.
just like, wow, this could really, be this magnificent place where the Dharma returns back. And
Yes.
in the beginning, it was just like a dream.
Yes.
It was just like a dream seeing water come back to the soil. And so that tree can come back alive. And now we can see it with the people and we can see it here. And so thank you for really arranging this
Thank
for
you.
us.
Thanks
We had
very much.
nothing to do with this. We were just a great participants of listening. Yeah,
Actually,
thank
there's
you.
so many Buddhist people in India too.
Yes.
That's the other thing.
Yes.
There are many, many little groups
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
over the country, and there's not a lot of coordination. And so we're very. What you're doing is wonderful
Yeah.
because we need to
Yeah, we're
bring
trying to
Buddhists together.
Yeah,
Bring
we need to
together,
bring-
yes.
Yeah.
Starting the communication, trying to
Yes.
bring on one platform.
We're finding as we go around the country on this Dharma training, more and more Buddhist groups are making
So
contact
many
with
Buddhist
us.
groups are here, so
And
Yeah.
phoning
they're
up
working.
and saying, why don't you come
Yeah.
here? Why don't you come there?
Yeah.
And we find
Yeah.
all, we have 5 lakhs here, people here, and 2 lakhs people there. Really quite large signals.
Very, very large people.
Yeah, it's
Every
surprising.
corner of
Yes.
Yeah.
India.
So my feeling is there are a lot more Buddhists here than perhaps we realize, and it's just a bit hidden away. And so once we start working,
Yes.
it all awakens.
Mhm.
And the other thing we found again and again and again is when we meet government officials and when we meet people all over the place, just a little bit of conversation, and then the Buddhist background is there.
Yeah.
It's in this
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
there.
It's just there.
It's just a
It's
bit
in your
covered
blood.
over, that's
It's
all.
in your blood. yeah.
It's a little bit
Yeah.
covered over.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are trying to cover and we are trying to coordinate. So
Yeah.
thank you very much for being with us, and really wonderful. We are very much feel thankful that you are doing so much your devotion and commitment for the promoting Buddhism and Buddhist values and traditions and culture here in India and every parts of the universe. So thanks very much for
Oh,
being
thank
with us,
you.
for coming here and giving your precious time. We offer so much of metta for you.
Oh, thank
and
you.
hope you will enjoy the timing in India and lots of metta for you and lots of friendship.
Well, we
Yeah.
must also thank Wangmo's father.
Yes.
Because
Yes,
for
yeah,
17
yes,
father,
years,
yes.
he has supported
Yes.
this, and it's expensive. This has not been a cheap enterprise. So he has given money again and
Yeah,
again
again and
because he really deeply believes
Yeah.
Yes.
that Buddhism will reawaken all across India
Yeah.
like flowers coming.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
surely. surely.
we're lucky. We're supported to do this.
Yeah.
So we can come back and we can
Yeah.
organize these
Our
events.
greatest thanks to my father and
Yeah.
and
Really done
his
wonderful
and his
thing.
community,
Yeah.
Yes.
because it does take funds to do this.
Yeah.
And now we're having friends in other places, like for example, the Ministry of Culture and the
Right.
UP Tourism, and even just different friends who are coming forward. So I think that we have something. Even if you're not Buddhist, but the message of peace,
Yes.
the message of peace. world
Friendship,
peace.
Yes, works.
World peace and equality. This is very important, and it's a message that needs to go to the world. We need it more than ever with these uncertain times. We need really to embody the teachings of the Buddha or the message of peace.
So we're in Delhi with the International Buddhist Confederation. It's also supporting us
Yes,
now.
yes.
Yeah,
And they had a conference. It was very nice. You can feel
yeah, you can
that people
feel.
are thinking, oh, maybe this is possible. Maybe we can wake up the whole,
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
whole country. You never know.
Yeah.
So it's very inspiring for us.
Very inspiring for us
Wow.
also.
Thank you.
And for our audience also, thank you very
so
much.
much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank
So
you.
be with us. Programs are going on again. Thank you.